Thank you, Gareth. And thank you, Professor Spinelli. That was inspirational. I just wish I'd read it before I wrote my own deck, because you could have saved me a lot of trouble. So, as Gareth said, I'm Tom Gray. I'm formerly Group CTO and Director of Innovation at Kainos, now Strategic Advisor. And I'm also Visiting Professor of AI and Innovation at the School of Computing in Ulster. I had the pleasure of chairing this report on the impact of AI on the future of work in Northern Ireland, and I'm looking forward to summarising it over the next 10 or so minutes. Now, I'm going to go off script at this stage, and I guess whoever said 25 seconds wins the pool. As Gareth said, I set up, along with Austin Tanney, AICon in 2019. What isn't necessarily common knowledge, although if you've been to AICon before, you will know. One of the reasons for doing that was to launch a centre for the application of AI that was going to be funded by the Department for Economy. Now, that didn't happen, and it didn't happen for the next 4 years either. But that changed last year when AICC was set up, and AICC is now delivering real value to business in Northern Ireland. And in actual fact, it's a partner of this event, and it is running day 2 tomorrow. But 4 years, hold that thought. So this report basically outlines that in the next 5 years, let's say 4, AI will fundamentally change how every single person in Northern Ireland and in the world will do their job. It's not might, it's will. And the only question is whether Northern Ireland will be driving that change or scrambling to catch up while watching opportunities drift away one by one. Now, this isn't a report about what might happen in a decade. It's about what's happening right now, what we need to do this year, this month, today, to secure our future. Matrix commissioned the study for exactly the same reason that similar entities across the world are doing likewise. It's because we could see what was coming towards us, and we needed facts and robust analysis to support our hypotheses. Now, the 6 questions that you see aren't academic. They are survival questions. When we talk about redefining workforce structures, what we're really asking is, how do we keep our people relevant? When we examine sectoral susceptibility, we're trying to figure out which of our industries will still exist in their current form. And bear in mind that as we worked on the report, the rest of the world has been implementing. Now, this slide should inspire and terrify in broadly equal measure. AI isn't a distant technology. It's in everybody's pockets today. It's processing insurance claims. It's writing code in software companies right now. We've moved from tools that help us work to systems that think and plan and execute independently. But what should really grab attention is the pace, as Stephen outlined. What we thought might have taken years is happening in months, if not weeks. We're looking at adoption curves that are breaking every past precedent, and this is both a massive opportunity and a massive risk. The uneven impact that we see here is crucial to understand. This isn't affecting everyone equally, and it seems to be hitting entry-level workers and knowledge workers hardest. And if you think about Northern Ireland's economic structure, that should be setting off alarm bells. But global projections show dramatic variation depending on how we respond. The difference between job creation and massive displacement isn't down to the technology itself. It's heavily dependent on the policy response, on what we choose to do next. Now, look at what it means for economy specifically. If you look at the top of the table, information and communication, professional services. These are exactly the sectors where Northern Ireland has been building competitive advantage. High GVA impact, high employment impact. That's both our biggest opportunity and the biggest risk. And the FDI concentration piece, which you'll see further down, exactly the type of work that AI excels at. So we've built our economic strategy around back office operation, and that is exactly the type of work AI excels at. If jobs came here because our labor was cheaper, AI doesn't need to be paid. Routine processing tasks that employ thousands, AI can do them faster and more accurately. But if we look, the more physical the work, the more resilient it is. Construction, agriculture, food service, the sectors aren't immune by any means, but they're not in the immediate firing line. So the question isn't whether this transformation will happen, it's whether we'll be ready for it. Now, I'm not an economist, but I'm assured that we're looking at between 200 million and 3.7 billion in additional economic value from AI adoption by 2030. The low case stands for cautious adoption patterns with limited economic diffusion. The midpoint suggests meaningful but measured AI integration across Northern Ireland's economy, and the high case models accelerated implementation scenarios generating transformational economic impact. Now, they represent ambitious but plausible change given adoption patterns that are being observed in leading organizations globally. And that's a significant difference, and it's the difference between proactive policy action and reactive scrambling. Now, these 10 questions will decide our future to a large extent, and we used them to create 4 plausible scenarios to aid planning. Each of these represents a choice, not an inevitability. Will AI augment or replace workers? That depends on how businesses deploy it and how we prepare our workforce. Will the benefits be widely distributed? That's a policy choice, not a technology inevitability. And the critical insight is that we're not passive observers here. The answers to these questions depend on decisions made in rooms like this by people like yourselves. Now, if you look at question 9, will Northern Ireland move with leadership and pace? That's the fundamental choice. We can be leaders or we can be followers, but we can't be slow and still be competitive or even relevant. The team created 4 plausible scenarios of our future, and I'd recommend you read them in detail in the report. You can access the report, by the way, through the QR code on the back of your pass. In summary, we have a titanic leap, and that's the Apollo moment. Northern Ireland becomes the Singapore of AI adoption, turning our size from a disadvantage into an advantage. We can move fast, experiment boldly, and coordinate our entire economy in ways that bigger regions simply can't. AI stampede, that's prosperity, but not for everyone. Belfast, for example, becomes a tech hub, but we create a 2-tier economy where the benefits don't reach working class communities or rural areas. Crafted catching up, that's where we prioritize fairness over speed. Everyone's comfortable, but we fall behind regions that moved faster. And sometimes the careful approach is the dangerous approach. And then slow lane spiral. That's the scenario that keeps me awake at night. It's not necessarily catastrophic failure, but it's gradual irrelevance. Our young people leave for opportunities elsewhere. Our businesses can't compete. It's death by 1,000 small delays. Now, I've got to be honest. I think I know which scenario is most likely, but I really hope I'm going to be proved wrong. Please. Now, Northern Ireland should be well placed to benefit from AI whilst mitigating the risks. The region has several distinctive advantages: research strength in cybersecurity, health technology, a small scale that should enable rapid policy experimentation, and an innovative private sector that often punches well above its weight amongst others. However, to make the most of these strengths and to move forward towards preferable futures, Northern Ireland must also address a number of strategic challenges that could undermine its AI readiness. I'd highlight leadership and cultural barriers. This is going to take courage. It's about being willing to make tough decisions now to avoid even harder consequences later. And scale is both our opportunity and a challenge. We're small enough to coordinate across the entire economy, but equally, we're so small we can't afford to get this wrong. So how do we turn challenge into opportunity? We produced 10 recommendations across 3 themes, and every single one of them requires action this year, not next year, not when it's convenient, not when we've done more studies, this year. Willingness, capability, capacity. We can think of these as 3 legs of a stool. Get one wrong, the whole thing collapses. Now, we recognize that many of these proposed actions will need to be delivered by public sector organizations working within constraints. These recommendations are therefore designed to be catalytic, enabling action now while building capability and confidence over time. AI adoption doesn't need to be flawless from the outset, but it needs to be underway. As Professor Spinelli said, we need to get in the game. So firstly, willingness. We need to build understanding and trust. And right now we have a credibility gap that's stopping some progress. An AI confidence program could be our foundation. We need to reach 2,000 to 3,000 businesses in year 1 to achieve critical mass. And we need practical sessions showing business leaders what's already working, walking them through live demonstrations of AI transforming workflows, saving money, and improving productivity. Something like maybe what's going to happen tomorrow in day 2. And the key is sector prioritization. We're not trying to boil the ocean. We're focusing on sectors with the greatest transformational potential. Public engagement is crucial here. We can't have a successful AI transition if people don't trust the technology or feel excluded from its benefits. The citizens' assembly model has been shown to be effective in other complex issues in the past. We need participants working through the real questions. How do we ensure AI benefits everyone? What protection do workers need? That 70% public awareness target within 2 years is not just about recognition, it's about informed understanding. And the AI champion role, this is about having someone independent whose only job is to make this happen, to make Northern Ireland an AI leader. Second, we need infrastructure that helps businesses deploy AI. AI native startups need different support than traditional startups. They need things like compute credits, not just capital. They need things like compliance support. The target of 50 AI startups isn't just arbitrary. Research shows that once you hit 40 to 50 innovative companies in a cluster, you reach network effects that accelerate growth significantly. And as recommendation 5 that could be transformative, helping existing businesses integrate AI into their operations. We're not talking about turning every company into a tech company. We're talking about helping every company become an AI-enabled company. And an AI workforce impact observatory should be an early warning system. By the time traditional unemployment statistics show AI displacement, it can be too late to help displaced workers. Real-time monitoring means that we can track graduate placement rates, job postings, skill demand shifts, and early signals can trigger rapid response interventions. Oops, missed a slide. And the AI driving license concept in recommendation 8 is entirely practical. Not everyone needs to become a data scientist, but everyone needs to understand how to effectively use AI tools. And the reach targets must be challenging. This is no time for complacency. Targeted reskilling for displaced workers is about fairness and social cohesion and about making AI-capable workers who can work alongside automated systems. AI in schools should build on proven success. For example, UU's recent pilot showed measurable improvements in teacher productivity and student engagement. So here's where we can scale what works. And we need to close the skills gap fast. Visible progress within months, not years. And these 3 themes are powerful together. willingness creates demand, capability enables supply, and capacity ensures everyone benefits. Shouldn't be three separate policy streams. It's one integrated transformation strategy, and it all must happen simultaneously, because partial implementation is going to be failed implementation. And that's where we are today. Northern Ireland stands at a critical point. We have a choice to make, and not making a choice is in itself the worst choice of all. We can own our AI future, or we can watch it happen to us. The window for proactivity is closing rapidly. Every month we delay is a month that other regions use to build competitive advantage that we'll struggle to match. But here's what gives me hope. We have done things like this before. We've transformed Northern Ireland from conflict to prosperity. We've attracted global investment. We've built world-class universities and innovative businesses. But a transformation that benefits both economy and society won't happen by accident. It'll only happen through coordinated collaborative action across government, business, education, and wider society. And the question isn't whether AI will reshape work in Northern Ireland. The question is whether we will shape how it happens. Thank you very much. And as I say, you can access the report through the QR code on the back of your passes. Thank you.